The Sinnoh Tour in Pokemon Go, the weather has shifted from where I was once in LA all the way back to Oregon, and yes, it is actually snowing right now. So we are making a video outside. For the most part, almost every single video I make is outside because Pokemon Go is an outside game and I enjoy being outside, so I'm going to do this with you guys together. But today, more importantly, we are going to be talking about the Sinnoh Tour, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between, my thoughts and opinions from LA all the way until Oregon when we play the Global. So welcome to the Trader Club. Here we go. Gotta stay warm with me together, guys. All right, let's get it. So this is gonna be the Sinnoh Tour in Pokemon Go. Okay, so honestly speaking, overall, they did an extremely good job on this event. So some of you guys may be like, well, I didn't get all the shinies I want. Well, guys, guess what? That is Pokemon Go, especially for the global tours, the safari zones, and the like. They are not the premier events in Pokemon Go, so unfortunately, they do not produce the best shiny rates. A lot of us think from playing Calm Days, oh man, I can't wait to get all these shinies like I do in Calm Days. 3 hours, the shiny rates are amazing. I usually average between 10 and 30, maybe plus or minus a little bit of Pokemon and shinies in there as well. And then comes around to the global tour and you're playing for 2 days. So just a reminder, guys, we are playing for 2 days. They did not limit any of the gameplay. They ran the habitats for 2 days. I thought that was fantastic. There's a lot of really good takeaways in here. And like I tell you guys quite frequently, please manage your expectations. If you go out there, you play, you enjoy yourself, you see all the Sinnoh Pokemon, you catch a lot of Pokemon, you are winning. When you are expecting to get shinies, 100% IVs, Shundos, and the like, it's a lot more likely that you are going to be let down instead of just playing for fun, enjoying yourself, and then while enjoying yourself, you're going to get some wins along the way. You have to get some wins. And so I do know some people that barely got any shinies. I do know some people that got a lot of shinies. But most importantly, I thought the event structure was really, really well planned out. So let's start in LA and then I'll take you all the way into the global tour. So LA, the facilities were incredible. So it was the Rose Bowl Stadium and the golf course. I thought they did a really good job at having a nice long stretch. So it never really felt overcrowded as it did in Las Vegas last year. Las Vegas, in certain areas, especially where the gyms were, there was multiple points of failure for cell phone signals. In this event, there was multiple points along the different places to be able to play that divided people up nicely that allowed the signal to stay pretty consistent for the most part. Some people seemed to have some errors, but fortunately for myself and all the people I was playing with, I didn't see anybody have any errors as far as cell phone reception went. So that was a massive win for one. For two, I absolutely love the way that they combined the Sinnoh Tour with the Hisuian flip on the back half of the hour. And then they had the Dialga and Palkia for the first half of the hour, and then the Origin form and all the Hisuian forms on the second half of the hour. I thought that really did a nice job of spicing things up because while the Sinnoh Pokemon are cool, I thought the shinies from the Sinnoh, besides the 10-kilometer eggs, were a little bit of lackluster, okay? So I thought they were a little lackluster on the first half of the 30 minutes. Maybe it's because I have most of those shinies. I've seen quite a bit of those shinies. My hands are absolutely freezing. However, on the second half of the hour, there was the Hisuian Sneasel, we had the Growlithe, we had the Voltorb, we had the Braviary, which I didn't get, and then we also had the raids for those Pokemon if you missed any of the raids day, and forward. So it was quite a great mix of the different types of spawns. So if you didn't have some of those regular Sinnoh spawns, you were able to get them, and on the second half, you were able to get them too. So spawns, I thought pretty good. The shiny rates were, I thought, pretty good. I did pretty decent on those. We're gonna go over all of the shinies that I have gotten in those tours. And then finally, let's talk about the eggs. So I did think that the 2-kilometer eggs were really good. The 2-kilometer eggs were fantastic. The 10-kilometer eggs were cool to see all those Pokemon. However, one of my friends, which I'm not going to mention how many eggs he hatched, but it was over 500 eggs and he didn't produce a shiny from the 10-kilometer eggs, which is absolutely mind-blowing for me because he's a hard grinder and he deserves to get all those shinies. So he just wasn't hitting luck in stride. So I thought that maybe the shiny rates, which, gosh, it's so hard for me to go on like the shiny rates should be better. Should everybody get the shinies? Well, if everybody got the shinies, then there wouldn't be anything special about getting the shinies, right? Because it's like, did you get the shiny? No. Did you? I did. I got one of them. Then it's like, oh, cool. That's cool. Then we can trade. It kind of makes the ecosystem of Pokemon Go. The cards have always been like that. You don't buy a booster box and you get the rarest card in the box every single time. Sometimes and oftentimes you have to buy 10, 15, 20, and maybe even those 10, 15, 20, you may not even strike luck on one of those booster boxes to have one of those really rare cards. So that's why I like to have a little bit higher of shiny shiny rates, but at the same time, it makes things rarer and it makes things incentivized to be able to trade, and I like that part of Pokemon in general. So while I would love to have all of those, remember guys, manage your expectations. And let's talk about the bonuses as well. I really love those bonuses. Maybe some of you guys don't want to pay extra. You're like, I want to kind of mitigate my costs in Pokemon Go and playing these events. Totally fair for you guys, but 3 times Hatch Stardust is insane. Getting increased 10-kilometer eggs, which was great. And then finally having that raid lover was fantastic. Getting that extra 5,000 XP was really helpful, even though I don't need XP, but for a lot of people it did help. And then in the tour, having 18 total raid passes per day was fantastic adding on to that. So there was many things that really added up in getting the XL rare candy. So I love that. But let's check out my shinies that I did get in LA, and then we'll compare it to what we did get in the global tour. You can do it. Stay warm, William. Okay, here we go. Age 6 through 12 and shiny. So over the weekend, it looks like we got a grand total of 45 shiny Pokemon. Besides the Skitty, that was afterwards. So it looks like 44 total Pokemon. So we did get Palkia, we got 1 Spiritomb, we got Pikachu as a traded, and then we got Dialga, which was a swap for sure. So Dialga and Palkia, I did get both those shinies, but obviously I swapped them as lucky trades. We got Buizel, we hatched 2 Chatot, which was a massive win, 1 Starly, Shellos, swapped our Riolu with JT Gilly. We actually hatched 2 Mime Juniors and a 3rd. We got the Growlithe, we got a level 1 Combi, Chimchar, Murkrow, Ralts, 2 unknowns, Shieldon. We got another Dialga that we did swap, Cranidos, hatched another Mime Junior, Stunky, Uxie, and Mesprit that came from the research. I can't believe I got both of those. We got Unknown, 2 Sneasels, which was a massive win for me, Unknown, and Gibble, and that is going to be where it stopped for day 2 and 3, but we also got 2 Dialgas, Combi, Bidoof, 2 Volibis, Azelf, Shellos, Eevee, Sneasel, Lickitung, Ralts, and Shieldon, and those all came on the added day on day number 1, which wasn't really the park day. That was going to be the city play on Friday, which is actually a really fun time. And another great thing that I thought they did fantastic about, although they didn't have the entire park the whole time, they did a great job adding and contributing towards the event throughout the entire time. And so, what are going to be the downsides about this event? Well, a lot of people travel for these events. One of my biggest downfalls of the event is stopping the event at 5 p.m. and then not continuing on with some type of event Pokemon. So while they did do an hour of some Pokemon raids and whatnot, I really think that having the raids run until 9 p.m. would be really effective, because some of us would really enjoy to be in the park playing and hunting just the shinies, while other of us want to raid the entire time. But if there was from 5 until 9, the raids continued as they did in the park, switching on the half hours, I think that would be a really good way to encompass these Pokemon. And I think that the eggs should have stayed the entire weekend, so you could be hatching the entire time, and then additionally having a couple of spawns throughout the raid event weekend, so that the entire weekend felt like an encapsulated event, and it didn't have to feel like, okay, at 5 we're done, let us go all the way until 9, and then at 9 we're able to then just call it a day, we're totally beat out. And if you don't want to go beyond 5, you can just stop, because you had an entire day to be able to out there playing. So I think that is the biggest downfall of the event, which is honestly a pretty big win for me overall in the event. I thought they did a fantastic job, really well played out, which then is going to lead us into the global tour. And if you guys disagree or you think that I'm missing something, please drop that in the comments below. So for the global tour, I like the global tour. The one challenge about the global tour, you guys hear me talk about this all the time, is I think that the in-person events are always by far superior than the global tour. And while the global events are free, you don't have to travel, it makes a really good situation for most of us. If you have the means to travel to one of these events, I think it's very effective. And one of those biggest reasons is that you're able to modify where in the park you stand and what spawns you're going to be able to get. So you're able to go, oh, I want all the Hisuian Sneasels on the back half of the hour. I'm going to go in that part of the park over there, and I'm going to stay over there. And if I want the Growlithe, I'm going to stay in this part of the park. Or if I want the Braviary, I'm going to go in this part of the park. So it allows you to be able to modify how your game is played. So that's one of the biggest things about the global tour that does not have. However, every hour switch and going from 10 until 6, I thought they did a good job. I thought the shiny rates overall were pretty decent. I was able to get some pretty decent shinies. And then as far as the eggs go, I was able to hatch a shiny Pachirisu, which was a massive win for me in Pokemon Go. So overall, that was fantastic. However, the one downside that I do see here is that the movesets were not consistent. I did not like how many moves we were able to get in the LA tour, which I get because it's incentivized. I did not like that the global tour was massively different. But at the same time, we do have the ability to trade. Hopefully you guys have many friends locally, you interact with local people, and then you can trade whoever, hopefully you have many people in your community that had Palkia, and some of them had Dialga, so you guys are able to do that. So I think that does drive community. I think that's a good way for us to go after it. It is a bummer if you did get 100% IV without the moveset, because it's like, oh man, I have the Pokemon, it's so good, but it didn't come with the moveset, and you know, that's kind of sad. But the one thing about the Global Tour, which they didn't do about the Pokemon Go in LA, was that they did run raids all the way until, I believe it was around 8 to 9 p.m. They were running Palkia, Dialga, Giratina, Altered Form, all the way, continuously repopping raids, and I thought that was an absolutely massive thing. And not only that, they had the lift on the remote raid passes. And while I thought that was really cool, I thought that they could have maybe incentivized us, not just incentivized us, but made it a little bit easier on our pockets, which maybe not be their trajectory, to be able to allow us to do a little bit more remote raids and offer some type of slight discount on the boxes. Because I noticed that there was 2,700 coins and I was getting 50 in-person passes. While I prefer to raid in person because I find it more fun, at the same time I want to get more raids in and try to get better chances at getting 100% IV. And so I did do that, but I did notice how quickly spending 525 coins each and every time on remote raid passes was depleting my coins in comparison to the entire day I was able to use 50 passes. So I did about 50 passes in person Saturday and 50% in passes on Sunday, and it just really worked out very well for me in opposition to the remote raid passes. So as far as our shiny counts for the entire weekend, which did start on Friday for me, we got a grand total of 30 shiny Pokemon. So all 4 of the first ones that you're seeing at the bottom, 3 Dialgas and a Giratina, were before. That was on Friday. So it started off with Voltorb, then we got a Sneasel, we hatched a Badu shiny, we got a Dialga origin form, Palkia. There was a glitch going on where Roar of Time was not always guaranteed. It wasn't a ton, but I did see it happen. We got the Palkia, Hisuian Growlithe, which was another win, another Voltorb, so we did get 2 Voltorbs, love that. And then we started popping off with some of these shiny legendaries, and this was going to be when we did raid. If you guys want to see that live stream, you can check it out up here. It was a lot of fun. We live streamed. I woke up at 5 a.m. I was on by, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. I was on by 5:30 a.m. and then we raided it until about 9:15 before I started my event, and I was able to get a couple shiny Palkia and a Dialga. And then we got a level 1 Growlithe, we got a Sneasel, a Gibble, and then we got this level 1, which was crazy, level 1 shiny Ultra League Hisuian Quillfish, which does go into Overquill. I hatched the shiny Pachirisu, which I'm super stoked. I love this Pokemon. I don't know, I just think it looks fantastic. We got a Palkia. One of our Palkias of all of these shiny Palkias right here has the move. I think it was this one. So I do have one right here with Spatial Rend, and the rest of them unfortunately do not have Spatial Rend, which is a massive upsetting bummer for me. I did get 2 Glygars, another Quillfish, 2 Sneasels, and then after the time expired, we were able to get a Caterpie. So over the weekend, if you think about it, because manage your expectations, which is why I talked to you guys about that. I played on Saturday. I was a little slow to get out there, and I played from 12 until 6. And on Sunday, I played from about 10:30 until 6. So if you manage my expectations, if I got 30 shinies in calm days, I took that and I stretched it out over 2 days, you know, those are about the same odds. And while the events are different, I think that it seems like Pokemon Go has these calm day odds, and over the entirety of an event, they don't want you to exceed a certain amount of shiny Pokemon. And that's why for these, they might average the shiny rates to be more in par with you playing over the entire time. Because if you had calm day odds and you played 2 days, the amount of shinies you would have is just astronomical, and it would just be like, wow, what's the point of even playing for the rest of the year or catching any Sinnoh Pokemon ever again? And so lastly, the downside here to this event for me, once again, was that the eggs changed over afterwards. So while, yes, I did have half incubator distance the entire time, which I loved, as soon as the event ended, I'm spinning normal eggs again, and I'm like, dude, even if I'm done with the event, I don't want to have to hatch through eggs to be able to have this. I thought that was a massive downside, and so that was one. For 2, back to the spawns again, just a little bit of spawns. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be like massive spawns. You could just maybe throw 1 Hisuian Pokemon out there and a couple Sinnoh Pokemon so that we're able to keep playing a little bit more if we want to, or if we want to be done, we can be done. It doesn't have to be rotating habitats. It doesn't have to be anything special, but something that encapsulates the event time. The raids did a good job at that for the entire weekend. So those are my big takeaways, guys. The biggest pluses and minuses, but I think overall, guys, they did a really good job with this event. I thought overall the shiny rates were semi-fair, even though there definitely were times where I was like, man, am I even gonna get a shiny during this event? You know, it's been 2-3 hours. Do I just go home and quit? The answer is no, guys. Persevere, because over time, your shiny odds, your 100% IV odds, and your Shundo odds will eventually even out. So there you have it, guys. Thank you guys for being here. As always, love and appreciate you. Thank you to all my likers, commenters, subscribers, Patreon members. Everybody takes their support, subscribe to information 2x. I'm gonna see you guys out on the next video. Peace. I want to take this time to thank everybody who supports me in every facet. It means the world to me, and an extra special thank you to all my Patreons. I greatly appreciate the extra support to continue to allow me to pursue Pokemon Go full time, allowing me to create my daily video uploads in the most timely fashion for everyone's benefit. Plus, I get the amazing experience of sharing my creative processes behind the scenes and raiding all around the globe with select upper tiers. Thank you everybody for being a part of the Trainer Club. You all mean the absolute world to me, and I will see you guys out on the next video.